Hey everyone, Robert here, author of Expansion Mastery, the practical guide to living a fully engaged life. Are you ready to start living life to the fullest? Are you ready and willing to transform yourself and your life from ordinary to extraordinary? Welcome, my friends, to the Fully Engaged Life. Welcome back to the show, everyone, and welcome to the fourth installment in this all-new series addressing our ability to embrace and protect our sense of humanity, understanding how to live a fully engaged life even in turbulent times. Humanity is an amazing and unique state of being. As human beings, we have qualities of goodness, such as politeness, honor, compassion, empathy, kindness, happiness, the ability to create a harmonious community, and most of all, love. And then we also have the ability to think and to use critical thinking skills to problem solve, and the capacity of a conscious mind. We have the ability to attain higher states of consciousness. It is our humanity, all of these qualities, that connects us all as one. We all breathe, all of our hearts beat, and we all have the ability to experience love. When humanity, as a collective, is at its best, this planet becomes a paradise. Likewise, when we surrender or neglect that humanity, then this planet can become a living nightmare. When we are living fully engaged, we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to ourselves and to the rest of this world to do our best to serve others and to serve all of humanity, to do our best to help this experience be heaven on earth. As human beings, we have an incredible attribute. We have the capability to awaken. No other species on the planet has the ability to consciously raise their vibrational frequency and attain higher states of consciousness. We have the ability to experience this incredible gift that brings out our sense of humanity more than almost anything else. Because when we attain states of mindfulness and awakening, we are radiating outward a high vibration. Our heart is open, we are connected to others, and we are living in a space of love, appreciation, and joy. And this speaks directly to the importance of spiritual practices, for it's the authentic spiritual practices, those of meditative practices and meditation itself, that allow us to attain what no other species on earth has the capacity to accomplish. To know our sense of humanity requires spirituality, for it's through traversing the spiritual path that we become tuned into our sense of humanity. It is the spiritual practices that allow us to know the true value of a healthy body and mind, and to realize that these are tools through which we're capable of becoming mindful and awakened. It's through spiritual practices that we are able to disconnect from the mind when we don't need to use it as a tool, and to connect, get reconnected to our true sense of self, our essence. For it is within the mind of a human being that evil originates. And when we go beyond the mind, there is no such thing. There is only love, appreciation, and joy. Because it is there that we reconnect to our essence, our pure conscious awareness experiencing what we call life. I have covered in the past 3 episodes ways that we can embrace and protect our humanity through our physical body, through our mind, and through spiritual practices to embrace and once again reconnect to our true essence. Harmoniously uniting these 3 aspects of a human being, the body, mind, and spirit, is what everything in expansion mastery is about. It's about bringing those things into harmony and balance so that you know your own sense of totality during this experience called life. And this is an understanding that is prevalent within numerous cultures and spiritual systems throughout the world. It is through uniting our body, our mind, and our spirit or essence that we are able to experience the totality of what it is to be a human being and have this human experience. To consciously recognize that we are spiritual, energetic, vibrational beings having a human experience. It is the spiritual practices that allow us to plug into nature and interact with the natural forces that we commonly call energy, coming to know our place between heaven and earth. These practices allow us to open our heart and know from our own experience the deep connection between all of us. These practices allow us to raise our vibrational frequency to that of love, joy, and appreciation. When our heart is truly open and our vibration is lifted, we are absolutely incapable of lying, stealing, hating, doing harm to others, and other negative-based behaviors. We are not capable. You cannot do it. Anybody that is capable of those things, at least within that moment of taking that action, of saying those words, of thinking those thoughts, are not experiencing a high vibration and open heart, because those negative behaviors cause our vibration to sink dramatically and our heart to be slammed closed instantly. However, when we're holding this state of appreciation and feeling love, we simply cannot engage in the negative behavior. And when we go beyond the mind, when we attain a state of no mind, this is where there is no ego. So we no longer live in fear, confusion, anxiety, or pain. It's when we become capable of attaining these states that we truly know and embrace our sense of humanity. This is when we, as a species, are at our best, when our vibration is high, when we have an incredibly high frequency, when our heart is open, when we're holding a state of mindfulness for appreciation. This is when we are at our best. This is when we are living fully engaged, and this is when you are having an incredible experience. And it's not enough to embrace these qualities that we attain. We have to also protect them. We have to understand what incredible treasures they are and realize just how easily they can be lost. We need to protect them. I mean, just take a moment to imagine this. If many people in the world were able to come together and hold a high vibrational frequency to open their heart, to overcome their ego, to transcend the mind, so the mind is in a state holding appreciation, love, and joy, where we could not treat one another badly. Can you imagine? Sounds a little bit like heaven on earth, doesn't it? I'd like to share a quote from the Dalai Lama. Quote, "Love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive." End quote. Now, I would like you to not just breeze over that quote. I would like you to listen to it again. And I would like you to take those words to heart, to bring it in deeply. Do you understand what he's saying? Without these high vibration, open-hearted aspects of ourself, of humanity, the species cannot survive. This is not just a nice quote. This is not just Tibetan Buddhist philosophy. There's a warning here that we need to take heed of. See, the problem is this. When we dwell in the mind and ego, when we do this, we fall from grace and sink into the depths of a lowly state of being. This is where we are enslaved by uncontrolled thought-based emotions, where we create a state of mentality that is easily programmed and controlled. This is why spiritual practices such as meditation are so essential. They allow you to strengthen your mind, to discipline your mind, and to get control of your emotions so that you can't be mentally and emotionally manipulated, programmed, or controlled. Through these practices, we become the master of our own thoughts and our thought-based emotions, and even learn to recognize that they are not true emotions, not in the true sense of the word, but merely extensions of thought. And when we are dominated by the ego, they become an extension of the ego. It is only through lowering our sense of being to that lower than the beasts that roam our planet can we harm others, tell lies, steal from one another, and act in a far than less appropriate manner towards one another. Greed, hatred, jealousy, deception, control, power, drama. These are all products of the ego-obsessed mind. Those living a fully engaged life, a spiritually based life, cannot act like beasts. It's vibrationally impossible. It is within this state that we come face to face with our humanity, and we get to embrace love and compassion, and we understand that they are indeed necessities. In order to know, embrace, and protect our greatest treasure, our humanity, we must open our eyes enough to realize that spirituality is not the same thing as dogmatic, organized religion. It's time to mature, people. It's time that we grew up as an entire species and realize that if we look at this, atheism on one end and a faith-based religion on the other, they are merely two extremes of the same thing, each of them satisfying the ego's identity. As you go on to form a belief around what is or what is not true, these things then become the basis of your identity, of that which you believe you are. But both of these are incorrect. Both are untrue. True spirituality rests somewhere in the middle. When we leave denial and blind faith. When this happens, when we're able to attain this, we come to experience the truth for ourselves. We don't have to rely on supposed science, and we don't have to rely on blind faith by somebody else's word. We're able to come into direct connection and experience the truth for ourselves. As human beings, we need spirituality to get in touch with our essence. To deny that is to live in the mind. And that's why atheists stress science so much. They hide behind science, and they are stuck in their head. Likewise, look at the state of organized religions. I mean, we don't even have to go into the mess right now that organized religions have become. If you look around, if you do a little research, it doesn't take much to see all the sexual predators in some of these religions, and you see that certain religions have been taken over by negative aspects of themselves, and this is just a mess. Look at these things. They have always served one thing: separation between us. They have been the cause of wars and killings and fights and all kinds of negative behaviors that have us at odds with one another, that have us more separated than ever. Does that sound to you like what it's supposed to do? Does that sound like the type of person you want to be? Does that sound like it supports our humanity? And if we were, at the end of the day, to trace these things back, we could see that both atheism as well as organized religion are nothing more than a belief that has been formulated in our mind. It's a belief. Either you believe science or you believe the fantasy of religion. Either way, it is a belief. I'm not asking you to hold a belief. Spirituality, true spirituality, is not about belief. It is about experiencing truth. And it's not about taking my word for it. It's about experiencing it for yourself. You have to come to know this truth for yourself. I'd like to share another quote. This quote is by Kevin Aucoin. Quote, "Today I choose life. Every morning when I wake up, I can choose joy, happiness, negativity, pain, but to feel the freedom that comes from being able to continue to make mistakes and choices. Today, I choose to feel life, not to deny my humanity, but to embrace it." End quote. This is a wonderful practice. To get in the habit of choosing life, of choosing to embrace your sense of humanity every morning when you awaken, is not only beautiful, but highly beneficial. Make the choice to embrace your humanity. Make the choice to then engage in the practices, the authentic practices that will allow you to continue to embrace it more deeply and protect it. And I trust that you are understanding how important this is if we are to support the consciousness shift. I mean, you can see people out there awakening, at least to some degree. Not everybody. Maybe it's a small percentage where it's supposed to be a very massive percentage right now, but at least it's continuing. And when each one of us chooses our humanity and we set this example forward out into the world, others will be affected by it. And we can help them to do the same. It is in this way that we can serve humanity. It is in this way that we can offer some value to our fellow human beings. It is in this way that we are able to help continue this great consciousness shift for all of humanity. And it's vitally important that we understand that we cannot put this off. We don't have tomorrow. The only moment that truly exists is now, is right this moment. As you and I are sharing these words and thoughts with one another right now, that is the only moment that exists. But even in a very pragmatic sense, we don't have tomorrow. We are on a precipice of extinction. And if we don't open our eyes and understand this and reclaim our sense of humanity, we will sleepwalk ourselves right off a cliff into oblivion. In order to help you better understand the urgency of that which I'm speaking, I'm going to share some things with you that are going to be a little unpleasant, but again, if it's true, then it's true. And what I'm going to share with you is true. I've done a tremendous amount of research on this over the past 10 years. Today, there is a war raging right in front of your eyes, and most likely, you're none the wiser. There's a spiritual war happening where certain religions are becoming weaponized and used to destroy various cultures, peoples, and their sense of humanity. There is a war against true, authentic spirituality where the inverted, twisted logic is trying to replace it with superficial silliness. that does nothing more than serve the ego. There's a war against spirituality. There's a war between religions, between genders, between races, between ages. There's a war to prevent humanity's greatest awakening. Here in the United States, as well as many other countries, there's a very real war between a patriotic government faction of the people and a corrupt global technocratic government of politicians. This is not just in the U.S. Fake news is used to counter real news with inverted reality and twisted logic in order to hide the corruption and the wrongdoings of both governments and religions. There is a war for the ownership of your physical body, of your mind, and of your spirit, your essence, your soul. This is to end your sense of humanity and enslave you in a technocratic system. There's a war against white males. There's a war against family values. There's a war against mental sanity itself. And while it's unpleasant, we have to acknowledge that these are the turbulent times of which I speak. And you can clearly see that every one of these things, all of these terrible, evil things, have come from the same point of origination, that of the corrupted human mind dominated, absolutely dominated by the ego that has been inflated to an unsustainable level. Just take a moment and acknowledge all of the craziness, the absolute insanity that is taking place. Do you understand the war for your mind is a very real thing? They're battling for your perception, for your perspective, for what you decide to make beliefs about. It is now that we must summon the courage to recognize that this is taking place. I know it's unpleasant, but living a fully engaged life means that we are courageous enough, we have the inner strength to see reality for what it is, to understand it, and then take the appropriate action. That appropriate action right now is to embrace our sense of humanity like never before and protect it at all costs. The path is clear, everyone. We've got to return to basics. We've got to go back to living simply and naturally. We have to think for ourselves and to know the truth through the development of clear comprehension and proper perception, both of which are attained through mindfulness practices and meditation. It is now that we need to return to authentic practices, and we need to be engaging them on a regularly consistent basis and gain the benefits of them. These are the things that allow us to protect our humanity. First, we have to protect our mind. We cannot allow the ego to continue to inflate. We must allow it to die. We must take control of our own minds. We must awaken enough to see through our own delusions so that we can see through all of the external illusions that are being placed in front of us. And when we engage in authentic spiritual practices, we are able to do all of this while still maintaining a high vibration, an open heart, and living in a sense of appreciation. Because when we can do that, all of this craziness, all this literal insanity that is sweeping the minds of so many, that is infecting humanity, we can be immune to that. We can see through it. We will be unable to be manipulated, programmed, and controlled. We will continue to hold our sense of freedom, a sense of freedom that comes with the experience of being a human being. It isn't about resisting, and it isn't about ignoring and pretending it's not happening. It's about accepting the fact that it is true, and these things are happening. And it is through our spiritual practices and the ability to keep our physical body healthy, our mind healthy, and engage our own spirit, our true essence, that we can be immune to the effects of all the insanity, and we can continue to live fully engaged, regardless of what's going on. Remember that acceptance doesn't mean that we just lay down passively and allow these things to happen to us. Absolutely not. That is an incorrect perception. Instead, what we want to understand is acceptance here is referring to the fact that we accept that that is something that's taking place in reality. And we're not going to act in resistance of it. We're just going to go around it. We're going to thrive spiritually in spite of it. So it is more important than ever right now that you engage the path of mindfulness. Create this sense of mindfulness. Don't just make something up and call it mindfulness. No, there is actually a structured set of practices that are mindfulness. Likewise, we should be engaging in meditation on a regular basis. It is through meditation and the meditative practices that we get more deeply in tune to who and what we truly are, to our essence. And it is there that we begin to live fully engaged. Do you understand? That's usually what's meant by the term fully engaged, is that you are in the process of awakening. You are in tune to your physical body. You are in tune to your mind. You are in tune to your spirit, your essence. When you are living with this connection to your true self, being guided by your true self, this is when we are living fully engaged. So meditative practices and meditation itself are absolutely critical to this. Without it, you can't get it. You're not going to get it through crystals and pendulums and tarot cards. Those things are not spiritual. They're not going to serve you at all. You need something real. You need an authentic practice. We need to make sure that we are not falling victim to all the fantasy-based delusions that are taking place out there, to falling victim to the delusions of our own negativity in our mind. We can't allow that. Instead, what we will allow, that we need to allow, is the ego to die, our heart to open, our vibration to rise as we connect to our true self, our essence. And do not make the mistake of thinking you can put it off until tomorrow. That would not be wise. We need to engage these practices, and we need to share these practices with others more than ever before. And we need to do it now. In the meantime, you can do all kinds of beneficial things. You can make sure that every day you are doing something that shares your appreciation with someone else. Not just feeling it for yourself. We've got to put it out there into the world. Tell somebody, show somebody, let them know you appreciate them. Show some kindness and compassion. Everybody's really good at doing that with their pets or other dogs and things, but really, really bad at doing it with another human being. This is a problem that we must fix. We need to be compassionate and kind with one another first and foremost. Then we can allow that to radiate outwards to other things such as our pets. We need to wake up every morning and choose to embrace our humanity. We are at a crossroads where we have the ability to either allow our consciousness to shift and rise as a collective whole, or to enter the state of extinction. It is time we started to care. It is time we made the conscious decision to choose life. Listen, everyone, you can visit me at www.expansionmastery.com. Grab your Appreciation Mastery program there. Incredibly powerful program. I highly recommend it. You can also get an autographed copy of Expansion Mastery, the practical guide to living a fully engaged life. And please help me continue to share these podcasts and practices that I share with you. Help others to get started in them once you've gotten started in them. I put this information out there for free so that people can use it, so that people can share it, so people can start engaging this and engage in living a fully engaged life. We have to act. And you can also help me by hitting the like and subscribe and all of those things on social media platforms to get this real spirituality out there. Until next time, my friends, I wish you the very best in your practices and your life. Take care.